Hello again, this is Mystery, and I'm coming at you with another Wargaming in Miniature video. In this video, we're going to be painting a couple of Nolzur's Dragonborn fighters. Okay, now it looks like this might be a younger Dragonborn fighter, and as he levels up, he becomes this Dragonborn fighter, because this guy looks like he's more heavily armored and has a bigger shield and a more nasty sword, and I was wearing a cape, and you know, when you're wearing a cape, you're awesome. All right, so let me go ahead and prime these guys up, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back with the Dragonborn, how they're primed. But as you can tell with spray priming, you don't always get 100% coating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little black acrylic brush, and I'm going to brush it into all these cracks and crevices. I watered it down so that it wouldn't clump up. And that way you'll get 100% coating on everything. And what's important is the cracks and crevices are the most important place to get your black shading in, because when you go and do your painting, those are the areas you try to avoid to allow the black to shine through. So you can't spray prime and then leave either metal or plastic showing. What'll happen is your model will look half finished when you're done. So just make sure you get all the little gaps filled, just like that guy. And down inside all little cracks and crevices under his arms and neck, you know, his open mouth. Under his cape, obviously. Yeah, that didn't get a very good coating. The back of his armor, because I guess the cape protected him from getting sprayed there. Okay, let me get this guy completely black, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that the Dragonborn are dry, I have been looking these models over. What I was planning on doing was a gold Dragonborn and a red Dragonborn to fit into my campaign. And I'm not seeing any exposed flesh. Even on their heads, they're wearing helmets. The only possible exposed flesh would be their jawline, but even that I think is armor plating. So I'm looking at the larger, more ornate model, and same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint their inside of their mouth red. And I'm using for this Vallejo flat red. And all I'm doing is hitting the top of the mouth, and it doesn't really matter if I go over or anything, because I'm going to be, this is the first inside coat, and as you know, I like to paint from the inside out. So I'm going to paint the inside, and then when I paint the outside, I'll touch up any mistakes or overpainting that I might have done. Okay, simple enough, just a bright red inside of the mouth, and that's it for both my Dragonborn. That's all that's going to be. Even the gold Dragonborn, which I'm going to make this one the gold Dragonborn. I'm painting him with armor. Now, I might accentuate the armors with some gold and some red to kind of, you know, to be in line with the type of dragon they are. But let's go ahead and let that dry, and I'll be right back. All right, I think I just went ahead and painted the Dragonborn off camera. I'm sorry about that, but what I did was I took the chainmail silver from Vallejo, and I painted his sword, his armor, his scales, and I actually painted the shield, leaving a lot of black lining. I didn't paint like 100%. I gave it like a 99% coverage, and then I went and painted the back and his legs, and basically just. And I made sure that I got his helmet painted all the way over his head. And then when I went to do the other fighter, I decided that this is probably a padding of some kind that goes under his breastplate, so I did not paint that. and I painted his shield metal, leaving his heraldry, and I went through this whole diatribe of what the rules of heraldry were and everything. And I apologize that you missed all that. But then I painted his breastplate, and I said that I went over a little bit right there, but that's okay, because when I go back and paint the padding, it's going to cover that. Oh, wait, I didn't paint his sword, so let's go ahead and get this sword painted. Yeah, and I'm terribly sorry that I thought I was recording and I wasn't recording. But when this dries, we will continue on. All right, now we're going to go back and paint the Dragonborn's feet. Because to me it looks like the feet are actually exposed. So what I've done was I've put a little Imperial Red in my Vallejo Red just to darken it up a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to touch up the feet with the Imperial Red, and I'm kind of doing a quick stroke technique. So what it's doing is it's only hitting the raised areas. It's almost like dry brushing, but with a heavier coat of paint. So I call it a quick stroke. And this will give the impression, or maybe it'll make this guy look more like a red Dragonborn, just because his feet are red. I don't know. It's gonna be a hard sell, you know. Okay, so his feet are red. And you notice how there's a lot of black shining through, but that's intentional. And then what I'm going to do now is since I've got the red ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and color the cape red, because that's what I was planning on doing anyway. Because what that'll do is it'll really make this model kind of look like a red. It'll basically add more red to it. And I'm painting in long strokes, lengthwise, giving the fabric a little bit more. When you go with the fabric, what it tends to do is make it look, I don't know, like it was stitched that way, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Notice how there's a lot of black still kind of shining through. I think I've harped on that enough. That's intentional. And this cloak doesn't look like it's brand new. It looks like it's been in a couple of fights. You know, like it's been torn a few times. Now, there is a philosophy that you shouldn't paint the inside the same color. You should paint it like a darker color. You could do that if you want. I'm going to paint it the exact same color and allow the natural lighting to cause it to look darker. Okay, see how that looks. That looks pretty good. I'm going to set him off to the side. I'm going to let him dry a little bit. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to paint the hilt red as well. Perfect. Now I was thinking I would add a little red to the shield, like on certain plates, but I'm not sure if I want to do that, because that kind of looks like fire, doesn't it? I thought that was kind of cool looking. It kind of looks like fire. So maybe I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I want it to look worn because he's been in a few fights. He's a higher level Dragonborn. I can see that he's got cuts across the shield. You can kind of see the cuts right there on the shield. And I want to make sure that people would see that. And I want metal to kind of shine through, but I don't want it to dominate. Yeah, that works. And then I painted the inside of that part of the metal because that kind of, to me, it kind of looks like flame, but I also wanted the metal. This inside here probably should be red as well, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so we're going to set this off to the side. We're going to let that dry a little bit. Now remember, I wanted to paint the second Dragonborn gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that gold, the brush, and I'm using P3 paint, and I'm going to just touch up his feet with gold, and that will really make this Dragonborn look gold, because the rest of the body is covered. You know, it's got armor. These are fighters. These aren't wizards. These aren't bards or alchemists or whatever. These are actual fighters, so they are wearing heavy armor. Sometimes I like using pre-mixed paints like the P3, or sometimes I like mixing my own paint because sometimes I like some off-the-wall tones, like I'll mix blues and reds together or something, or I'll mix a white just to lighten it up or something like that. But in this case, the solid gold is the actual color I wanted, so it's a perfect option. All right, so his feet are gold, right? But you don't really see that anywhere else on his body because there's no exposed flesh or scales or whatever you want to call it anywhere else. All right, so I'm going to set that down. I'm going to let him dry, and then we'll move on to the next step when we get back. All right, we're back with the Dragonborn. Now what I want to do is I want to paint the pants, the pantaloons, no, the trousers or what have you of this Dragonborn a really light tan color. What I'm using is Folk Art Camel, and I'm painting it right up to the edge of the metal, leaving a slight gap. Instead of having to go back later, once you're done painting, and then add a black line, you could just paint up to a point that creates a black line. You can always go back later and touch it up with a black pen and things like that to make it the black, like any place you might have accidentally painted too close or something like that, you could always black line. And I'm using camel, folk art camel. It's a really good color for like a dark linen or a canvas color. I like it. And it's great for these pants. All right, so we got his pants. Set him up to, oh, wait. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted the light pants on him. And nothing camel-y on this guy. All right, let that dry. We'll be right back. All right, guys, now we're going to go ahead and paint his padded tunic, his quilted under padding or whatever you would call it. And I'm going to use a splinter green on that. I'm going to use, a Vallejo splinter stripes. And it's kind of like a field gray color. It's green, but it's not like a bright green. To include his like shirt sleeves. Down to where the gloves would be. Now at this point, I'm painting over mistakes with the metal, but I'm trying not to make more mistakes by painting over stuff I shouldn't be painting over. So I'm paying particular attention not to make any mistakes. But I am also leaving a little bit of a black line by the camel. So I won't have to later go in later and do black lining. Okay, that looks pretty good. But now the tricky part is right there. Oh, that was actually not that tricky. Okay, touching up, fixing, correcting spots that I might have painted wrong. Basically just reviewing what I've done here. And whoop, there's a big spot I missed. I'm glad I was doing the review. All right, starting to come together. Okay, let me put him off to the side. And when they're dry, we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and paint some bootstrap leather on my Dragonborn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the P3 bootstrap leather, and we're going to paint the gloves and boots on these Dragonborn the leather color. So it's mainly going to be their fingers, their thumb, their palm, their hands. I only counted 3 fingers. Hang on. What's up with that? Is that true? Do Dragonborn only have 3 fingers? That'd be something I just learned. Well, 3 fingers and a thumb, right? All right, so we got his gloves. He doesn't have any boots or anything. He does have a belt. I think. Yikes! I think I'm gonna paint the belt a different leather color. Yeah, just his gloves. All right, nice. But this other guy. Wait, I kept thinking he had boots too, but he doesn't. He's got his golden feet. Okay, so gloves. Yep, this guy's got 3 fingers too. Little biology lesson there. And then I got to get up underneath in the shield to get the other hand. This glove has a little metallic on it, but that's okay. Like we said, we're just going to paint over any mistakes. All right, so his gloves are painted as well. All right, we're going to let that dry, and we'll be right back. Okay, now for these Dragonborn's belts, I'm going to actually use Hammermill khaki. Hammermill khaki is kind of like a really light color, but I like it on belts. Whoop, wrong brush. There we go. A little bit smaller brush, a little bit more finer detail. We're putting it on a belt. Now it looks like this Dragonborn's got 2 belts. One's probably a sword belt, and the other's probably an armor belt, holding up his armor or his belt pouches or something. But I don't see any belt pouches, so let's get in behind the cape here. There we go. Now a couple of other straps, other than his actual belt, would be the straps on his shield. So we're going to go ahead and add those as well. Yeah, so you got his straps on the inside. Is there anything else? There's this little thing right here. It looks like a badge or something. I'm going to paint it just so it stands out. It sticks out like, what the heck is that kind of thing. And then I think that's it. All right, let's see about this other Dragonborn. Let's see if he's got any straps. I know he's got a belt. Let's take a look at that. Belt. This Dragonborn's like sliding around in my hand, actually. got to get up underneath the shield arm. Okay, that looks good. Whoop, little spot in the front missing. Okay, so you got his belt on. Now, this guy also should have shield straps. I don't see them as dominant as on that big shield, but they are here, so you just got to keep your eyes open for them. And then maybe he's got a little bitty strap going into his hand. I don't know. I'm just going to put a dot there. Dot there. So it looks like he's holding on to a shield strap. Okay. Now I thought I remember seeing like straps over the arms, or I mean the legs right there, but it's going to look so much like this camel that I probably need to retouch up. Yeah, I need to redo the camel. Okay, before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and just put this up and redo the camel. Oh yeah, those pants look 100%, whoa, not on the inside. But yeah, they look a lot better with that second coat. Alright, let's set that Dragonborn off to the side and let him dry. Alright, now before we continue on, what I wanted to do is just go ahead and hit the base on these models. And I'm using a Splinter Blotches color. It's like a light green. It's a really good contrast with the models. So it'll make the colors of the model stand out. You don't want to leave your bases black. I know the D&D models all come on black bases, but basing a model actually really enhances the model. I almost wish that the D&D models came on maybe a green or a brown base, so that I could just apply flock instead of having to paint them and then apply flock. Because I like flocking my D&D models. These I'm not going to do it. They're already textured because they're the Nolzur's models. So they're standing on kind of a textured base. Maybe later I'll go in and flock them up. Right now, we're just painting the green, getting them ready. Leaving a little bit of the texture to shine through so it looks like it's a fully textured base and not just 100% covered in green. Alright, we're going to let that dry before I move on to the next step. Alright, now with the Dragonborn, what we're going to do is we're going to touch up the teeth a little bit, fangs or teeth, whatever you want to call it, with white. I've got a couple of little white drops right here. And all I'm going to do is basically just very lightly drag them across the gum where the teeth are sticking out. And hopefully catch it, kind of like dry brushing, but a little bit wetter than that. So that it'll stick. So it'll be thicker. That's what I meant. Okay, he's got his white. Thinking, because he's not a red dragon, I'm going to hit his toenails. His claw nails. I tend to paint my chromatic dragons with black toenails and claws, and the metallic dragons with white. And it's a Dragonborn. It has the ancestry of a dragon, so why not do the same with their toes? Yeah, it'll give them a little bit of the toe feelings. Let's go ahead and hit the red one now. We're going to start with the fangs. Nice. That looks good. And then over here. Whoops, let's not hit my thumb. And then connect the two. There we go. So he doesn't have, it looks like he's Michael Strahan. Got a little tooth missing. And because this guy, even though he's red, he's Dragonborn, I'm going to hit him with some white toes just to give it that extra, make him look a little good so he's not as evil looking. Because Dragonborn, even though they're red or yellow or purple or pink, it doesn't matter what their color is, their alignment is almost always good. Alright guys, when I get to the next color, we'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm changing my thought process on these two, and I apologize for this. But this might help out quite a bit. So I believe that this red dragon and this gold dragon, the ones that Dragonborn, the ones that I've been painting, I actually believe that that is not a helmet or chain or scale armor on the back of their head. I actually think that that's part of being a Dragonborn. So and plus it'll really make the colors stand out if I paint it dragon colors. So I'm going to go back and fix that, making this a gold head, and I'm going to go back and make that a red head. Okay, so here we go. We got some gold. And I'm going to try to make this, try not to mess it up, if that, you know what I mean. Like, I've already painted a lot of stuff. I don't want to get it on stuff that it's not supposed to be on. Like the teeth. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, but that's our washing machine going. Yeah, what made me feel like this was not a helmet was on the sides of his head, he has these little winged protrusions, and I was thinking, well, that could be the Dragonborn in him, you know? So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to paint it up as if it was his his personal scales and not scales he's wearing. And with the silver chainmail undercoat, it kind of gives the gold kind of a cool look to it, actually. Yeah. He does look like a gold-skinned dragon. All right, so we're going to do the red dragon born. Getting the nose. Getting that little piece of his ears that are winged that go back. Okay, the downside, what I had done was I'd painted his cape with the same flat red that I'm using for his skin. I'm afraid it's going to blend in and they're going to look exactly the same once it dries. Right now it's good. It's a different red, but I know that when it dries, it's going to look exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take 1 drop of white paint and I'm going to add it to those three drops of red. There you go. Not even a drop. Just basically just a little piece of white that I'm mixing in with the red. Now I was afraid it's gonna turn pink and all that, right? Just depends on how much white I put in there. Doesn't seem like it's turning pink at all. That's good. It's just a really light, what do they call that? A Nepal crimson color. That's good. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over his cape. And you notice I'm using a large brush because I want these to be large strokes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit all the raised areas very lightly. But I am using a big brush. So it'll mix and blend without it being too sharp of a transition. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just doing aiming for the raised areas, but it's hitting a little bit of everything. That was my plan, and kind of like the edges too. Because what that's going to do is it's going to lighten the cloak color overall, and it'll make those raised areas really stand out. I mean, you can kind of see how they're really standing out right now. Okay, And I don't think I'm going to bother, well, maybe a little bit on the inside. I was going to not bother with the inside. Because the inside can stay a little, can stay dark all at once. But there is like a couple of raised areas. All right, so we're gonna let that dry. I'm gonna leave the shield red. There's a couple of metallic spots in there that need to be red. We just had our lights flicker. Wonder if they're going to go out anytime soon. All right, so I'm going to let that sit, let it dry, and we'll come back with some money shots because I feel like I'm finished with these guys. They just need to dry. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get you a little close-up of the Dragonborn, these two models here. I got my red Dragonborn right there with his feet. Okay, I got his belt. I got his cape. You can see his gloves and his straps, the little flame on the shields, and you can see the dark and light. Okay, that's not even focused. There you go. You can see the dark and light, how it transitions on the cape. Yeah, that guy looks really good. I like him. Are they going to be meeting a red Dragonborn in the game? Yes, they are. Don't tell them. Okay, and then here's the gold one. You can see his feet and the claws and his hand, his gloves. You can see the belt, and his pants are like a lighter tan color. And his padded, that's not scale. That's kind of, to me, that looks like a quilted top to me. His shield, he's got his like strap in the shield. Okay, might be able to see it better from the back. Strap under the shield. Now, what I did was I painted the shield with a gold dragon head as well, to kind of, because, you know, he's representing. All right, that's good. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and checking out me painting these Dragonborn, and you guys have a great day.